In this video, I'm going to be showing you the complete beginner's guide on how to build voice AI receptionists using Vapi and n8n. I'm going to be showing you a complete breakdown on how to build these AI assistants and AI receptionists on Vapi, from the prompting, the functions, the tools, all the different features we can use in Vapi to create highly realistic voice AI receptionists. And then from there, I'm going to be diving deep into n8n, creating workflows that is able to have these voice AI agents send data and check availability and book appointments. And by the end of this video, you have a completely free voice AI receptionist template and blueprint that you can go ahead and download and implement right into your Vapi and n8n account. And if you are a business owner and you are watching this and you've got any questions about AI and you want to implement AI into your business, feel free to book a free discovery call down below in the link in the description. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so I'm going to be using two softwares, as I said in the intro. We're going to be using Vapi AI to create these voice AI receptionists and assistants, and then we're going to be connecting that to n8n to go ahead and process the bookings and check availability. So first of all, we want to head over to Vapi AI right here. Come down and click here. This is going to be the platform we're going to be using to build the voice AI agent. If you don't already have an account, you can just go ahead and log into the dashboard. But if you do want to, get an account, go ahead and sign up. So I've already got an account. I'm going to go ahead and open the dashboard, and it's going to bring you into this section in here right now. So first of all, this first page is the overview section. This essentially gives you an overview on the metrics of your voice AI agent. So you can see we've got the number of calls that have happened in the last month, the average duration, the credit costs, everything. So you can go ahead and customize it to all these different assistants right here. You can see I'll just click on any random assistant, and I'll actually go and tell you all the different metrics for the agent. So this is a really useful feature inside Vapi. So you can go ahead and customize. You can see all the different metrics, the, success ratio, all the different things for your individual agents. So you want to give this to clients, you can go ahead and just give them the out-of-the-box dashboard they have in Vapi, and they can see everything about their agents. So that's going to be the overview section. And then from here, we have the assistants. So this is going to be the main section where we create these voice AI receptionists and assistants. So you can see we can create a system, we can use blank templates, we can give it a name, we can do all these different stuff. So this is going to be the main section we're going to be using in this video to actually create these voice AI receptionists. But I'll get into that later once we've run through all the different things down here in Vapi. And then from here, we have the tools. So these are all the custom tools that we can connect to these voice AI agents that allow us to extract information from the transcript in the conversation and then send it to n8n and Make to be able to process check availability, booking appointments, looking up CRM. So this is a really essential part, and knowing how to use these and effectively use them in the prompt and inside the assistant to go ahead and automate all the processes. So this is another one of the really most important functions inside Vapi as well. So as you can see, we've got different inbuilt tools right here. We've got high level, we've got Google Calendar, we've got Google Sheets, we've got NCP servers, API requests, sending text. So you can go ahead and add all these tools onto the assistant, and they're able to do these things, all automatically, 24/7 for the business and by themselves. So they're able to call these tools, send different information, etc. So that's going to be this section we're also going to be using in this video. And then from here, we have the phone numbers. These are all the phone numbers that are used to connect. We use, telephony providers like Twilio, online telephony providers like Twilio, and we connect them to our agents. So customers are able to call that phone. I'll call that phone number on their phone and then go ahead and talk to the agent as well. So yeah, that's going to be this section. And then we have the voice library. These are all the inbuilt voices we have, from 11 Labs. You can, go through. They've got Vapi voices. We've got 11 Labs. I would recommend using 11 Labs because they are the most realistic voices you have inside, Vapi, and, you should use for all your clients or all the businesses you work in to go ahead and make these agents more realistic. So you can go ahead and customize the gender, select the accent. You can listen to all of them right here. You can see for all these different agents. And yes, they are able to speak in, multilingual, which is what I'll also show you as well, and how that works. And then from here, we have the API keys. These are just the API keys for Vapi in the platform itself. So if we were to go ahead and connect Vapi into, n8n or Make in this instance, we would use these API keys to go ahead and connect all these different platforms. This is useful when creating outbound calls or modules. We can connect to Vapi to create an outbound call connected to an assistant. But yeah, I won't really get into that. And then from here, we just have the more section. So this is a little bit more advanced, but this is just the workflow section where we can create workflows inside Vapi. If I just start with a blank canvas, this is more for complex and, highly conversational agents here in here, which I won't get into, but we're just going to be using, this, as this is a beginner's guide, we're just going to be using a single prompt agent. But this section inside this Vapi workflow is just to create more complex voice AI agents that need a lot of conversational flow. So again, I won't really use that in this video. And then from here, we have some more metrics. So again, this is just a more in-depth kind of analysis from the overview up the top. You can see number of calls. This is just a demo account I use, so not really anything special going on here. But you can see all the in-depth metrics on all your voice AI agents in here. Test suites, this just allows us to test the agent. So if we run some tests, you can actually go ahead and test all your agents inside these different test suites. You can name it, you can give it a voice. So this is actually going to go ahead and test all the agents that you have inside Vapi for any errors or anything. So this is useful when we're actually deploying these agents into real businesses. We can see if there's any errors inside the prompting, inside the call tooling. So this just allows us to test everything. And then from here we have the call logs. So this is really useful when we're looking at all the the past interactions of the voice AI agents. You can see we've got the different types of success evaluations, the ended reason, so customer ended call or error or whatever, right? So you can actually see where it's calling tools up there. You can see all the transcripts, you can see the recordings. This is useful for, again, testing the agent, testing how they're going in real world purposes, testing what it's like actually deploying these voice AI agents. So this is a really good way to see, maybe why certain errors are happening in the conversation, how the conversation is going according to our prompting. So from here, this is the chat log. So again, we're able to chat with our agents via, typing and a chat log. So this is essentially the same thing as the call logs, but it's just in the text chat kind of version. So you can go ahead and see all the conversations that have been had inside the chat. Session logs, this is going to be storing some of our conversations in real world scenarios. I've got really nothing here. And then we've also got API logs, which you can see the different API requests that have been made. So you can see this is going to be some of the API requests from, Vapi to OpenAI that happened in the background, Twilio to Vapi. These are all the API requests. So you could actually go in depth and see all the API requests that are getting made from, 11 Labs, Vapi, OpenAI, all these different things. So again, this is great for testing as well. And then from here, webhooks. Of course, these are going to be the webhooks that happen from the tool. So we can see tool called. These are going to be all the JSON type of things that run in the background that are getting sent to these no-code platforms. But we don't really need to worry about that. The only real case is if we do have errors, you can see why these errors are happening. And yeah, it just gives us a more in-depth overview on how to prompt these agents. Yeah, that's going to be a quick overview of kind of all the sections and a rundown of the Vapi platform. But now let's get into actually creating a voice AI agent, customizing it inside Vapi. So let's get into it. All right, so to create your first assistant, you want to go down to the Assistants tab. I'm going to be using Create Assistant, and I'm just going to be using a blank template from a single prompt workflow. So in here, I'll just name it, demo Vapi YT. So it's going to be what we're using. Create Assistant, and of course, I'm going to be using everything from scratch here, building everything out so you can actually see how to build these systems as well using Vapi and n8n. So first of all, as we can see right here up the top, we've got the cost. So this is going to be the breakdown and the split of all the costs that incur for these AI agents. And this is done using, cents per minute. So we can see right here up the top, we have the cost. So that's going to be the flat cost of Vapi to run this voice AI agent. So, 5 cents USD per minute. From here, we have the transcriber model. So how to transcribe all the conversation that is happening. This is going to be DeepGram in here. And of course, you can customize all these tools, to find the best cents per minute, to find the best tools and everything. And then up the top, we have the model. So this is going to be the brain behind the AI that understands the user's query, talks back to the user. So that is essentially the whole AI aspect of it. And of course, you can customize everything. You can customize the different providers up here, Google, but I'm just going to be using OpenAI. Then from here, we have the voice. So the voice is going to be Vapi. So you can see if we actually go ahead and change everything, like, for example, if we do, let's just use like Anthropic, do 4, and let's publish it. You can see how that cents per minute is going to change based on the LLM, based on the transcriber model, based on the voice. So this is how you're able to, customize the agent, using all these different tools that connect and make the voice agent. So that's how this kind of cents per minute pricing thing works. And it just essentially is all the different costs for the AI, for the transcriber, the LLM, and everything. So yeah, we can see that's going to be the cost per minute. Usually building these voice AI agents, you can get it anywhere between 12 cents all the way down to maybe 10 cents, 9 cents, depending on the platform. But yeah, that's essentially how the costs work and how it's broken down through the minute. But again, very, very cheap compared to, a human doing it. Then from here we have the latency. So this is essentially the delay between when the user is speaking to then when the AI responds to it. So for example, 1450 milliseconds. That's about a second and a half. That's going to be how long it takes for the AI agent to respond, on average to the customer's query. So you can see how this is actually broken down. So essentially, this is very similar to the cost, but it's just the latency between all the different platforms collectively combined. So again, we can change this by using different models, by using different transcribers, by using different voices inside 11 Labs, Vapi, and everything. So if we go ahead and publish it, we can see it's actually going to change because we're using GPT-5. But if we're using a smaller model like, let's do GPT-4.1, you can see it should come down. So yeah, it comes down right to almost a second. So again, you can play around with this, play around with the models, the voices, but that's just a quick overview of how the latency actually works inside Vapi. And then from here, we have the model. So this is going to be configuring the behavior of the system. So we're able to customize the assistant using the prompt, using the LLM, using the provider. So right here, I'm just going to be using OpenAI in this video. And then I'm going to be using 4.1, as you can see. Then from here, the first message mode. So this essentially we can customize, how the AI agent first interacts within the conversation. So we can see assistant speaks first. We can do, waits for user. So it's going to wait until the person speaks. Or we can do assistant speaks with a model generated message. So this is going to be varying based on the system prompt and everything, but I really wouldn't recommend this. But I'm just going to be using assistant speaks first. Then we can go ahead and customize this message. So we can do hello. We'll just do hello. This is Emily. How can I help you? Right. That's is going to be the first message that the AI speaks every time someone has called the phone. Yeah, and then from here we have the system prompt. So this is going to be really important. This allows us to prompt the AI agent on how to handle the conversation, how to call different tools, how to speak to the person. So this is again one of the most important parts of prompting. But you can see you can generate a prompt, but I really wouldn't really do this. I would kind of design your own prompts and use the own prompt that I'm going to show you with specific formats, markdown formats, everything. So yeah, that's how you can really create those prompts. But yeah, I'm going to go over to my free resource library inside my school community. Again, if you do want this completely free resource, the prompt, all the workflows I use, it's going to be in here inside the free AI resource hub right here. I'm going to come down to AI resources. I'm going to go down to my prompt library right here. And then from here, let's go ahead and use a prompt. I'm just going to use a salon prompt that I've got. Come down. Then I'm going to copy and paste it in here. So I'll kind of run you through how this prompt works and everything and the structure. And we're also going to add some things as well. So I'm going to come back over to here, paste this in. All right, awesome. So this is going to be the prompt that we have. I'm going to break down this prompt kind of in detail so you can understand how it works and how to actually customize these agents to the business, as the prompt is kind of one of the most important parts to designing quality voice AI agents. So from here, we have the current time. We've got the role. We've got all these different things right here. So first of all, we've got the role. You are Sophia, a concierge for a crown cut style studio, a modern salon and barber lounge. So again, giving the AI the role of the business. Your persona is friendly, approachable, stylish, and confident. Again, giving the AI how it should interact within in the conversation. So again, making sure the AI is interacting nice and friendly, approachable, and stylish. So we can now customize the persona or how the AI agent speaks tailored towards the business. So your primary function is to provide a smooth and trendy booking experience that reflects the salon's high quality brand. The current time is going to be this dynamic variable right here that we have. So for example, you can go ahead and customize this. But essentially, each time Vapi sends the prompt to the LLM, it's going to auto populate using this dynamic variable, which is what we call it. So essentially, it's going to be looking like a little bit different inside the brain of the LLM. But essentially, all this is doing is letting the AI know the current time. Now, this is useful for letting the AI book appointments, run check availability, which is going to be very, very useful for how we're going to structure things inside n8n, which I'll get into later. Another thing that I wanted to do is add what we call markdown format in here. So this essentially bolds some sections of the AI. So again, when we're looking into the AI's brain, these are going to be marked as headers. So it gives the AI, just a better prompt and a better overview on how to, read this kind of prompt that we have, if that makes sense. So again, now we have the task. So your main task is to guide a client through the booking process in 3 steps: greeting the user, checking for available appointment slots, and booking the appointment. So again, letting the AI agent know the clear task in how to conduct the conversation. So step 1 is greeting and service inquiry. So greet the caller warmly, stating your name and the salon's name, and then identify and ask what service they would want. So we can see haircut, beard, whatever. So of course this is going to be for a salon. We're just asking what service they'd like. In context of the business and conversation. So of course you would customize this to whatever business you want, but I'm just going to show you how the task runs. And then once we've gone through this prompt, we'll actually go ahead and start building out everything from scratch in n8n, so you can get a good beginner's guide and overview on how to kind of build these things using these 2 platforms. And then from here, we've got use check availability tool to get the requested time. So essentially, once it has identified the service it wants, it's then going to ask for the correct date and time. It's going to be calling what we call a tool inside Vapi, and it's going to be sending that information and variables that it's captured inside the transcript to go ahead and process everything. So that's kind of what this entire section is. And again, this is just a bit of prompt engineering inside this section to go ahead and make sure the AI agent checks availability, books appointments, and everything. So that's going to be that section there. As you can see, if their time is available, proceed to the next step, which is number 3. If it's unavailable, run the check availability function again to check for an available slot. So again, this is just prompt engineering, just to make sure that we have the correct time. We've made a time inside the calendar that is available. So that's all that's happening in here. And then from here we have the book appointment. Of course, if you do copy this prompt, you won't need to worry about all of this. You just need to customize it using your time zone and a few other things that you might want. Once a suitable time is agreed upon, collect the client's full name, the phone number, and email address. So we're going to be adding some of these variables, which is what I'll show you inside the tool. So we're going to be using 2 workflows: check availability, then also book appointment as well inside both of these kind of steps. So once the AI has collected their full name, phone number, and email address, it's then going to run the book appointment tool with the confirmed information. Then after a successful booking, provide a final confirmation message. So this is just kind of like a basic prompt or kind of a basic task on how the AI agent is going to handle the conversation. Now we have the context right here. Again, giving the AI agent a little bit of context about the business. Crown and Cut Style Studio is a premium salon and barber lounge offering haircuts, colors, beard trim. So just giving the AI agent a little bit of context about the business so it can further understand, why it's speaking to the customer as well. So that's an important part. Then from here, we have the example conversation and scenario right here. So again, just letting the AI agent know how to conduct a conversation. This is important because we need to let the AI agent know how to conduct a conversation, and then also when to run these tools right here. So you can see I've got in brackets, run check availability tool, book appointment tool. So this lets the AI agent know actually when to correctly run these tools. That's all that's happening in here. And then from here, we just have a little bit of important notes. This just makes the AI agent more conversational by prompting it, to using, natural human words like where it fits, using short sentences, not rambling on too much, and just everyday conversational language. So this just allows the AI agent to have a more conversational, more natural conversation, really. So that's kind of the prompt. Quick overview on that prompt. I'm gonna go ahead and click update. So now we have this prompt all in here ready to go. All right, and another section we have here is the file. So this is where we're able to attach knowledge to the voice agent. So for example, whenever a customer or the user asks any questions about the business, for example, it might be the services they ask, it might be the times they close, whatever, right? We can add files in here to make the AI agent search for them and search for the answer and then just respond to the user. So again, I've just generated a dummy file, from ChatGPT. I'm going to go ahead and paste this in right here. As you can see, this is just, an example of how you can do it. But of course, once you have a knowledge base, you can go ahead, just save it up here. I'm just going to go ahead and generate a PDF. And then, sorry, that's the wrong one. And then I'm going to go ahead and select the file. I'm going to add a new file. And then I'm going to come down. Awesome. Put that in there. Crown Cut Style Studio. And then we can go ahead and select that. So now each time the agent is asked a question, it's going to refer to this knowledge base that it has and answer promptly. And from here, we got the max tokens. So again, this just means of this is kind of like a safety limit on how long the AI's responses could be. So again, having this at 250 just makes it, so it doesn't ramble on or generate too many responses or uses too many tokens from the LLM we have. So yeah, that's kind of that section. And then from here we have the temperature. This just essentially means the creativity and variability within inside the responses. If we have it up higher, it's going to be more creative and more agentic in a sense, and kind of decide what to say on itself. If we have it lower, it's going to be more stickable and more, strict or to the prompt that we have. So again, I just like to leave it around, 5 or 4 really, just to make sure it sticks to the prompt, but it's also not too, robotic, and it, has, creativeness as well inside its responses. So I'm just going to leave that at 5 from here. Then we have the voice configuration. So I'm going to go ahead and select 11 Labs. We all know that 11 Labs has the best voices. I'm going to come down to the voice section right here. I'll just leave it as Sarah. Then also what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the multilingual function in here as the model. So we can see, go ahead and select that. So now our AI agents can actually go ahead and speak any language really. So it can speak Spanish, French, Greek, all these different things that our voice AI provider, 11 Labs actually has. So that's really important inside these voice agents. Users might not speak English, or they might not speak Spanish, or all these different other languages that people can speak. So having that is really useful as well inside our voice agent. So that's how you do it. You can see if we go ahead and publish it, these things will change up here. So again, 12 cents. Latency is a little bit higher now that we're using the multilingual function, but that's fine. Yeah, and then from there, that's going to be the voice additional configurations. You can add background sounds. I'll actually go ahead and do that. I'll add an office sound. So essentially, makes the AI agent more realistic, adding sounds in the background, and these different things. And you can even add all these different punctuation boundaries, which I really won't get into, but stability. This just allows us to how do I say this? Like, it allows us to customize the voice in the agent. So if you have it up, it's going to be less stable in how it speaks. If that kind of makes sense, you can see here increasing variability can make the speech more expressive. So if you have it up, it can be more expressive. It can shout. It can kind of like use more language kind of. But yeah, I'm not really going to touch this, but you can also customize your voices, as we're using 11 Labs, and just make it as realistic as possible. But I really won't get into that. And then from here, we have the transcriber. Deepgram is really fun. It doesn't really matter what tool you use. Usually kind of the cheapest, most accurate one is fine. I'm just going to be using, Deepgram's one. Language we'll have as English for now. Yeah, and then from here, the model, that's just the model of the transcriber. Yeah, and then from here, we have the tool. So this is going to be the function where we're adding some of the tools, which I'll get into a little bit later after I've run through all these different things in here inside Vapi. Predefined functions. This is just for using pre-built functions, such as an IVR system and all that type of thing. I won't get into that. Custom functions, we don't need to worry about that. That is that's the same as tools. Summary right here. This is the way we can summarize the conversation after it's happened. Success evaluation. This allows us to determine, the success of the call. For example, a success or a green or a success rate would be, when a customer successfully books an appointment. So again, this can evaluate if the call is successful using kind of a prompt and using AI. Structured data, again, we don't really need to touch this. Privacy, this allows us to employ different security features inside our agents. So we can see HIPAA compliance is a big thing a big thing in healthcare. So we're not actually able to record, transcribe, and note down any of the conversations in healthcare because all that information is confidential. So by flicking this on, we'll actually have no chat logs, we'll have no call logs, anything like that the AI agent records to actually help us design. That needs to be switched off because all that information that they're having on the phone is confidential. So this allows us to be, HIPAA compliance when dealing with businesses like healthcare, dentists, all these different types of things. You can see we've got PCR compliance. So we won't really touch that now. We're not able to have that because we're not at an organization level. Audio recording, again, you can switch this off. I believe there's some law in Europe, GDPR, I'm pretty sure. That's quite a big privacy law over there where you're not actually able to record or do anything. I'm not exactly sure on what that law is, but we can actually customize the privacy of our agents to meet those security features and meet those laws. Recording format, this just allows us, do you want it as an MP3 or do you want it as a WAV file? So that's really it. Video recording, we won't really touch that. So yeah, that's going to be the security part. Again, you can customize those tools and those securities to fit the needs and fit the laws in which your AI agent is speaking. So, for example, if you were in Europe, you would go ahead and turn on different settings that meet the GDPR requirement as well. And also a quick note, if you do want to look into the security functions as well, you can go to Vapi security, and you can see that they have a trust center where you can actually go ahead and look at all their documents to make the agents compliant with all these different laws. So you can see you got GDPR, you got CCPA, you got all these different laws and data protection and user protection requirements and laws that you can actually go ahead and read up as well. So this is a very useful resource that you can read about for all the security and all the compliance for our AI agents. But yeah, and then from there we have the speaking plan. So this is again customizing the agent on the conversation. So waiting for how long the agent starts before speaking. You can have this down lower to kind of customize how long the AI agent takes to speak. Again, I really wouldn't touch this because it may mess with kind of the transcriber and everything. Punctuation on seconds, you've got no punctuation seconds. Again, all these different things that you can use to actually customize the Vapi agent. Voicemail detection. Again, we won't really touch this. Speaking plan, you can go ahead and really get in depth of how to customize the agent and the speaking. Again, I don't really touch this. It doesn't matter too much. Call timeout second. This is very useful. So you can actually see, how long to wait before the call's automatically ended due to inactivity. This is very useful when deploying these in businesses because we don't want to use too many credits or we don't want to use too much money. So having a timeout on some of these agents is very useful. So I'm going to just go ahead and end the call because we don't want it to rack up too many minutes inside the business. So that's another very useful thing on how to actually customize the agents as well to not use as many tokens. Keypad input settings. Again, we can actually deploy an IVR system. So whenever someone puts one, it can, map to a certain thing and do all these things. So again, this is really another great feature about Vapi and all these types of platforms that allows us to customize these voice AI agents and receptionists. Messaging, this really won't touch. We don't really need to touch that. And then widget, you can also add a widget and embed this code inside any website so it can actually go ahead and speak into a website. So yeah, that is going to be kind of an in-depth review on the entire assistance type of how to customize these voice AI agents. So hopefully you gained a little bit of knowledge there on how all these tools and different sections work inside these assistants and how we're able to, fully customize everything down to the speech, down to the security, down to the model, everything to make these agents as highest quality as possible and to the business. So yeah, that's going to be a quick rundown for that. Now we're going to be getting into the next section, which is going to be the tools connecting Vapi to n8n to really tie this voice AI agent together. So I'll see you there. All right, awesome. So now we're going to be building the tools, connecting all the different information from Vapi to n8n that is going to allow us to check availability and book appointments. So I'm going to be creating everything from scratch so you can actually see how to do this and follow along if you want to. So first of all, we've got all these different tools in here, but the main tool we're going to be using to really customize this and send all the information we need is the custom tool up here inside Vapi. So we can see we've got the tool name, descriptions, all these different things, which I'll dive right into. But first of all, for this tool name, I'm just going to be naming it check appointment, for example. Appointment. The description will be to check the calendar for the business, right? That's going to be the description of the tool. Again, how this actually works is this description is put into the LLM to make the AI understand the tool and the purpose of the tool. So this is important just to give it really just a brief description in this case. Then from here, we don't really need to touch any of these options. We've got the parameters, so this is really important. These are going to be the parameters that the AI agent has extracted from the transcript, and it's going to be sending it over in JSON format to a webhook address. So that's kind of how it connects the information it gets from Vapi all the way over to n8n, if that makes sense. So first of all, I'm just going to be adding a property. You can use the visual editor or you can use the JSON format. Just use a property, for example. This is just really easy. So first of all, we'll do the time. So again, as this is a check availability function or check appointment tool, all we need to collect is just the requested time of the customer, which we can then send over to n8n to go ahead and check the time as well. So we'll just say the requested time of the customer up here. So again, the requested time of the customer, going to go ahead and click apply. So right there, now once the customer has explained to them, look, do you have any availability for tomorrow at 1 p.m.? It's going to use that variable and it's going to send it, via this tool in a server URL. So awesome, that's kind of what we have here. And then from here, we're going to need a server URL. So this is where you want to go over to n8n and kind of create a new workflow. Then from here, we're going to be starting from scratch. So first of all, I'm going to be adding in a webhook. Again, this allows us to connect all these different informations and tools over to one another and, process and send data. So first of all, you want to make sure it's on post, really important. It's on post, otherwise it won't work. Then from here, we've got two types of webhooks up here in n8n. So we've got a test URL and a production URL. Now, these two are pretty different things inside n8n. A test URL can only be called on, once. So for example, if we do listen for test event, we have to execute this workflow manually to actually listen for any workflow. So this is really good when we're testing different, agents and testing workflows inside n8n, and it's able to make us see all the data inside this kind of like editor, little dashboard right here. So and then a production URL is a URL that is, always active. So we don't really need to, execute the workflow because it'll always run. And I'll show you kind of how to do that later. But all you need to do is select active on that, and it'll actually go ahead and now the agents can make calls, simultaneously. So we don't really need to execute the workflow each time. But for this video, I'm just going to be using a test webhook URL so we can actually go ahead and build the workflow, get some data in, map everything in there. So yeah, that's going to be the whole purpose of this webhook right here. So again, just leaving it as test URL. We're going to go ahead and paste that, come back over to Vapi and put it in this server URL section right here. So now we should be able to go ahead and send some data from the agent. So let's go back to the assistant right here. Let's add in the tool as the, go ahead and we're going to go back into the assistant right here. Going to go up to the tool section. And then we'll do check appointment up here. So now we should be all good to go ahead and test this agent and start building this first workflow. So first of all, I'll say hello. Do you have availability for tomorrow at 3 p.m.? And then what we're going to do is we're going to need to make sure that this is called so some data comes into it. Come back over to Vapi, click send. I'm going to see it'll actually call that tool. It's going to be an error, of course. So now we have some data in here and we can actually go ahead and start building this workflow. So if we just look at it real quick, we can see that there's some data inside here. All right, so you can see that that is the time that it's just sent up there inside that JSON, inside that tool function. So now we can go ahead and start to build this agent to check availability. So first of all, I'm going to add an AI agent inside here. I'm going to do it to find below, add a system message up here. So now let's go ahead and connect that. We're going to add a OpenAI chat model in here. So essentially this is going to be the brain to actually go ahead and check the availability. GPT 4.1 is fine as it's just a very simple task. Memory, we don't need any memory. And then we're also going to need to attach a tool. So this is going to be a Google Calendar tool, which is able to check availability inside a Google Calendar. Now, of course, if you are using this for a business, you'll need to ask their credentials, ask what softwares they're using, and then go ahead and just do the same thing in here, kind of using this framework. So again, I'm just going to be using Google Calendar in this example. And then from there, if you do want to connect your account, go ahead and create a new credential, sign in with Google, really easy again. And then what we're going to need to be doing is we're going to be needing to get a calendar and then availability right here. Go ahead and select your calendar. That's mine right now. And then from here, we have the start time and we have the end time. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let the AI model define this automatically. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste in that. So now what we can actually do is we can come back to the AI agent and we can actually prompt this AI agent to automatically define the start and end time using the variables that we have from the webhook inside Vapi. Now that we have configured the tool and the chat model, let's go ahead into this AI agent and we'll just go ahead and add a prompt or a user message right here. So I'm going to come down here, get this, and then I'm going to paste in this prompt right here. So I'm not going to be doing this from scratch. It'll just take way too long to type out everything. So I've just used a kind of a prompt that I've already pre-built. So again, this will now allow the AI agent to check availability in the Google Calendar. So because we have let the AI model, defined, we put those parameters inside the check availability, node or tool inside n8n. We need to now prompt the AI agent of how to handle that specific request. So we can see right here, we've got the role. You're an appointment availability checker. Your job is to get the requested time and use the calendar to check availability for the customer. The current date and time is now. So again, this is like a dynamic variable, just like we had inside retail for the current time. And all we can do inside n8n is just do double curly brackets and then do now. So we can actually get the current time inside n8n. So this is going to let the AI agent help. So this is going to help the AI agent actually go ahead and check availability and process all these bookings functions. Then from here, we have the customer's requested time. So this is going to be the requested time of the customer up here. So we can see, I'll actually go ahead and delete this. And this is going to be that variable and that tool information that we have extracted from Vapi, and it's getting sent over via webhook to here. So these is what we call kind of arguments or objects inside here. And you can see we'll just drag that in. So now the AI agent has the date and time in which it is now, and then the requested time check availability for. So we can see now all that we'll need to do is, now that it has the start time of the requested calendar or the requested check availability, all it will need is the end time. And we can just simply do this by prompting the AI agent right here for the length of each slot. So now we've got the length of each slot, which is an hour. So now the AI agent will have the start time and also have the end time because we have prompted it the length of each slot. So that's exactly how we can prompt this agent to go ahead and check that availability inside that Google tool and Google Calendar node. And then from here, we have the booking process. So check if the customer's requested time is available using the calendar. If the time is available, let the AI model know and confirm. If the time is unavailable, suggest up to 2 alternative slots to the requested time by checking the availability again. So this is really important because if the time that the customer requested is unavailable, it's going to let the AI model know, and then it's going to automatically know to check for more times within that requested time frame, and then go ahead and return those times and see if there's any other times available. So this is exactly how we can prompt engineer this agent to go ahead and automatically suggest new time slots. If there are no alternative times, checking within a day, search the next weekday from the current time and provide alternative slots. Again, this is more prompt engineering. If there is no, slots within that day of the requested time, it's going to let the person know. Response and output. So this is just letting the AI agent know once it has actually checked the time. This is going to let the AI agent know how to respond to the customer. Because again, if the requested time is available, confirm it by saying the requested time of 9 a.m., June 22nd or whenever is available. Just to confirm, would you like to book this? If you found no availability or unavailability, if they're in the requested time, suggest up to 3 alternative slots. Again, just more prompt engineering. So again, this section is just letting the AI agent know its output in how to respond to the customer. Important notes: you must not output your result in the past. You must always check availability in the future. Use your current time that you have received and the requested data to make that decision. So again, that's going to be the prompt of our AI agent. So now we have everything that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this data. And then all we need to do is do the webhook response. So this is going to be the information that it has collected from the AI agent to check availability, and then go ahead and respond to Vapi, because now Vapi is waiting from a response from that webhook it's sent. So we need to let Vapi know. And there's a few things that we need to do. So we'll do a webhook response right here. What we're actually going to need to do is the custom JSON body right here. So the reason why we need to do this and not with the incoming nodes, we need to go ahead and change this to make sure to using respond webhook node. Up here, that's important. It's because Vapi expects, a certain format. So Vapi needs to get the tool call ID in which, the tool that is used in Vapi, and it needs to get that tool call ID to kind of verify that request. So that's the reason why we're using a custom JSON body right here. Some of the few things we're going to need, as we can see, the output of the AI agent, right there, and then we also have the tool call ID. So these are going to be the 2 variables that we need from n8n and from the output to then go ahead and verify that response. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste in this JSON I've already pre-built so you can see kind of what it looks like. We've got the tool call ID, and then we've got the agent result right there. So we can see, hey, the requested time of 3 p.m. on September 8th is available. Just to confirm, would you like to book this? Or if you prefer 4 p.m. on the same day, it's also open. So we can see that's the result of the AI agent upon booking and checking that availability. Um, awesome. So now this is all set up. Yeah, just making sure everything's set up. Awesome. So everything is all set up in here. I'm just gonna rename this node to check availability. Availability. Awesome. All right. All right. So now this is all set up in this workflow. So this will be all good to go. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is kind of create the book appointment. So it's going to look a little bit different inside this Vapi workflow. So let's go ahead and name this check availability YT demo. All right. So now we have this all good to go. Of course, if you do want this workflow, I'm just going to leave this template down below in the link description of everything that I built. Awesome. That's all saved now. So yeah, this will be all good once we go ahead and test the final agent and everything. But yeah, now the next thing we need to do is head back over to Vapi and design the next tool. So the next tool is going to be the book appointment tool, or the book calendar tool. I'll just name it book calendar. Calendar. Another thing here is make sure you always add these little dashes down below when we're using the tool name. I need to change that. Book calendar. All right, awesome. Now we're going to need the description. So we'll do this tool is to book the appointment in the calendar. All right. Right, awesome. So that again is the description going into the LLM. And of course, the same thing we're going to need is the parameters right here. So because this is a little bit different and the AI is required to collect more information to put on the calendar, such as, you know, the name, the email, and everything, we're going to need to add these properties in here right here. So first of all, let's go ahead and add the full name. The full name of the customer. Awesome. Apply. We're going to need the service type. So because we're doing this for a salon and barbershop, this is going to be the specific service that they have requested. If it's a haircut, if it's a, you know, washing their hair, you know, whatever it may be, right? So the type of service the customer has requested for the salon. Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply. Again, this is really easy. And then we'll also need the phone number. The number of the customer. And finally, we'll have the email. The email address of the customer. Add that in here quickly. And then the last thing we need is the time. So again, once the AI agent has decided that confirmed time, it's then going to run and put that time again inside that parameter. Because, you know, the time that the requested time may not be available. So the confirmed time of the customer. Awesome. Right. So now we have all those variables that we need. So I'm going to go ahead and click save. And then we're going to need a server URL. So let's go ahead and book the appointment. So again, pretty similar. We're just going to be using a webhook, making sure it's on post. Grab that test URL, come back to Vapi, and then just put it in right here. So now everything should be all good to go. I'm going to go ahead and click save. And one last thing that we actually need to do is make sure these tool names are the same that we have in the prompt as well. So it's really important so the AI agent knows which tool to actually go ahead and call. We'll just verify that we've got the full name, service type, phone number, email, and name. Let's go back over to the assistant. Full name, phone number, email address. Right, awesome. So we have everything that we need there. Let's go ahead and change this to book calendar. So calendar, book calendar. Awesome. Change that in there. And then check. I think it was, what was it? It was check appointment. So again, this is make sure the AI agent calls the right tools. Awesome. So we'll change that in there. That will be all good to go. Now let's update it. Go back over to tools. And then we're going to go ahead and add that final tool in there. So now it should be all good to go ahead and now send some data in there. The same thing that we did before, but we're going to be designing it for a book an appointment. So now let's go ahead and come back over to here. We'll make sure we'll publish that, save it. We're going to come back into the chat and we'll say, hello, do you have tomorrow at 4 p.m. Forgot, I just actually put this output format in wrong. It actually should look like this instead of that other one that I got ChatGPT to generate. I was just having some issues actually building it. So again, this is part of building these solutions, really. But yeah, we have this information in here. So of course, I'm going to leave this exact format in here. So it's actually going to correctly return that format. So apologies on that. But yeah, this is the correct kind of JSON response body right here. That's actually going to correctly call those tools. So now if we come back to Vapi, let's come over to, we're just going to click save, assistance, tools. We've got both those tools in there, and now we can actually go ahead and chat to it. So hello, do you have 4 p.m. tomorrow for a men's haircut? All right, let's come back over to here. Let's test it. Send that data in. You can see it's going to trigger this workflow. Awesome. Check availability. Awesome. Come back to here. We can see tool response. Right now that we have that tool response here, that's perfect. So again, another thing when dealing with Vapi is we need to make sure that our JSON body is exactly like this inside that response format. So now what we can do is we can go ahead and actually come back to here, and we can run this workflow. We'll just stop it. Stop. Reload it. All right, so now we can come back to this workflow. We can execute it. We'll come back to Vapi, and then we'll say yes. It's gonna ask for my email. Right, awesome. So now let's go ahead and send some data in. Oh, let's send some data in there. I'm not sure if it actually sent it. That was an accident. But yeah, we've got some data in there. So now we can go ahead and actually build out this second workflow to go ahead and book the appointment. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's connect an AI. Again, same thing, define below, and we're just going to put in the prompt and user message to go ahead and book the appointment. So very similar to the last workflow we had, but all that we need to do is go ahead and book the appointment inside the calendar using the variables that we have. Of course, we're going to need a chat model. We'll just use OpenAI. 4.1 is fine. Memory, we will leave it. And then we'll just need a tool, which will be Google Calendar for the book appointment. So come down here with the tool. And then we're going to do event, create from this list. And then we'll just let the AI define the start time and end time, of course. And then we'll also add some properties in here. So we'll add a description. And then we'll add a summary, which is known as the title in Google Calendar. So now we can customize these things using the variables that we have. So let's go ahead and open up this. We'll come down to here. So now we can see we can get all these variables in here and we can put it into the description. So for example, we've got name of the customer. Put in this full name. See, that's what it's going to look like. We'll do time for the appointment. Awesome. We'll put the time in there. Right, time of the appointment. We'll do service type. Again, pretty simple, just mapping in all these pieces of data inside here. All right, and then let's do number and so on. So you can kind of see this will be showing up in the description of the calendar, so the business can actually see it. Summary, we'll just do new appointment for, put in the name. So now each time based on the customer's inputs, it's going to automatically customize and put this calendar event for that specific customer that it's given. So Go ahead and put full name. Here, appointment for Ashton Voss um at time, right? So now that's going to be the title, and then that's going to be the description of the appointment. Now, also what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to add the attendees so it can actually create an event. So again, we'll just put the email that we have in there. And yeah, now that should be everything. We've got the start time, we've got the end time, we've got the attendees, and then we've got the description and summary. So this should be all good to go. Again, create event. Now all we need in this AI agent is the prompt right here. So I'm going to head back over to this workflow I have, paste in this prompt. And you can kind of see now this is the prompt for the agent. So all this agent needs to do is really just get the time, get the information, and go ahead and schedule the appointment. So pretty easy right here. I've just said you are an appointment booking AI agent. Your job is to use the create an event in Google Calendar tool to get the details of the customer, create an event and booking in the calendar, and then this is the confirmed time. If the event has been scheduled, please provide your output in this format. So again, really simple prompt right here. So yeah, this is all that's happening. Again, we've got the confirmed time of the appointment. If we come back over to here, we can see the time right here. That's going to be that JSON that we have right here. Awesome. Put that in there. Again, pretty simple, pretty easy. Come back, and now this agent should be all good to go. So now all we need to do is just add a webhook response. So again, we'll go ahead and do respond to webhook. We'll do JSON, and again, we're going to need that exact format. So again, I'm just going to come over to here, copy and paste this previous workflow that I have in here. So this is going to be the exact type of format that we need to return to Vapi, just to ensure that it actually goes ahead and books it. So let's go ahead and paste that in here. Custom JSON body, awesome. So now it's going to need the ID results, awesome. So let's go ahead and pin this data so we can design that framework. Execute. It's going to need to map that data in. Awesome. All right, so the output, and then we'll just need the cool tool ID up here, webhook. And then that's going to be the ID we need in there. Awesome. So now this will be all good. That will successfully return to Vapi. And yeah, that's going to be the agent all built out. So now we can actually go ahead and test this agent. And yeah, we'll see that it works. So I'll see you back in Vapi. I'll go ahead and call the agent and test it, and we can see if everything will work.
Hello, this is Emily. How can I help you?
Hey, how you going, Emily? I'd just like to book in an appointment for a men's haircut tomorrow at 3 p.m., please. Do you have any availability?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing well. Yes, we have a spot open tomorrow at 3 p.m. for a men's haircut. Would you like me to lock that in for you? If so, could I please get your full name, phone number, and email to secure the booking?
Yeah, sure, no problem. So it's Ashton Voss is my full name, and then my email is ashton123@gmail.com. And then my phone number is 1234566789.
Thanks, Ashton. You're all set for your men's haircut tomorrow, September 8th at 3 p.m. We'll see you then at Crown Cuts and Styles Studio.
Awesome. So you can see how it successfully checked that availability inside the calendar. It went ahead and booked the appointment right here. We can see. And then it went ahead and scheduled that inside our Google Calendar. So you can see this is exactly what it looks like. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this video. Hopefully you got kind of an in-depth, overview on how Vapi works, the entire platform, how to connect it to n8n, and how to run those automations to check availability and book appointments. So of course, if you do want this completely free voice AI agent template, feel free to join my free school community. I've got all those templates in there, a bunch of prompts, everything, all you needed to get started completely for free and build these agents. And if you are a business owner and you want these AI agents customed to your business and built into your business, feel free to go ahead and book a discovery call down below in the description below. We'll be happy to answer any questions. But without further ado, I'll see you in the next one.